One of the most commonly asked questions and theories around hand load and ammunition is if leaving lubricant or getting water on the cases increases pressure. The reason this speculation or theory has taken off is that commonly many individuals will shoot in geographical locations where it rains very often, causing brass to get wet. Further, while shooting, they will look at case heads and notice pressure signs by observing flattened primers, bolt swipe, and more. However, this also happens with lubricants. If resizing and not cleaning the lubricant off afterward, or using excessive lubricant inside of your firearm to where it will coat the brass body, you will see the same effect by looking at the case head where it will show signs of pressure. While there are many theories talking about looking at the case head for different signs of pressure, we want to walk you through what is really happening. So, with the many forum posts and folklore spread around campfires, a common theme reoccurring was putting water on the cases to simulate what would happen in a shooter's geographical location if rain were to get on their cases. I started to think, well, it does certainly look like pressure is present on the back of the case heads when you look at them, but is that really showing signs of pressure, or is it something else? Well, when a case is coated with lubricant or is wet, it creates a layer boundary between the case wall and the chamber wall. As a result, when fired, the case has nowhere to effectively expand except backward towards the bolt. Therefore, this puts all of the force of expansion back towards the bolt and flattens primers. This is commonly known as bolt load. While this certainly shows signs of supposed pressure, this does not mean that pressure has spiked. Therefore, this is another case of false signs of pressure. Here's a diagram of where force is normally applied to a case when fired versus when it has a boundary layer like lubricant or water. While we are against proponents of talking about what may be happening, we wanted to physically prove that this is occurring. As a result, our ballistician conducted a test consisting of cases being coated in water and lubricant to show that while more force is being applied to the bolt or bolt load, pressure does not spike. To begin the test, we used water and lanolin to coat the cases one by one before shooting them in our lab. Once we did, the following photos show the results of our independent testing. Please pay close attention to the highlighted area in the photos, which is the average peak pressure. As we can observe, peak pressure had not spiked, unlike previously theorized among many individuals. But what do the case heads look like? As you can see, here are the cases from the test of using a lubricant layer and water above. The primers are cratered and flattened. The pressure was not the causing factor. In other words, the pressure generated did not flatten or crater the primers. The force being applied backwards towards the bolt, which directly resulted in the case appearing to have pressure since it is being concentrated all in one area. While our testing is great, I also wanted to search for supplemental material showing our results were correct. As a result, I came across a research study conducted in 2019 with the same results. As you will see in our picture, our findings directly align with what was found. However, besides water, they used an ice layer. Regardless, the peak pressure is not spiking while peak force has increased exponentially. As we can see from the research study shown on the screen, the third column is listed as peak pressure. Next, we can observe the fifth column listed as peak force. If you take a look, peak pressure does not change drastically as peak force does. We can see that when adding an ice layer or lubricant layer to the brass, peak force increases, but peak pressure does not. This in itself shows that leaving lubricant or an ice layer on the case will show false signs of pressure. There are some interesting results in regard to 9mm, case geometry, and length barrels that I'll leave you to read in the research study linked below. Moreover, almost every cartridge, wet, lubed, or ice layered, ultimately do not show increased signs of pressure accurately and does not mean the powder charge you are currently shooting is actually over pressure. It is simply increased force or bolt load, which, don't get us wrong, can actually crack bolt faces over time from the increased force. So I can say that we can reasonably put this to a rest. Water, lubricants, and ice should be removed from cases before firing. Otherwise, false signs of pressure can show up, leading you, as a hand loader, to believe that you are shooting an overpressure powder charge. It is recommended to make sure that any copious amounts of lubricant applied inside of the chamber is removed because of the boundary layer being created between the case wall and the chamber wall, leading to false signs of pressure. Again, as always, thank you so much for watching.